Okay, thanks everyone for joining on time. Just to be mindful about everyone's time. So we'll start with a short introduction about who we are and what we do. Nice to meet you all. I'm Shilin from Walk the Chat. So I'm responsible for the business development based here in Europe, because a lot of the brands and clients that we talk to are actually in Europe, UK, or US. So it's easier for us to connect. But we also have a lot of participants joining from China, Singapore today. So thank you again for being here. Also today, we have other colleagues joining our webinar. So we have Caroline, she's our advertising manager, very experienced in all social media advertising, including not only Red or Xiaohongshu Advertising, but also WeChat ads, Douyin ads, etc. So Caroline, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, thanks for everyone to join today's webinar. And this webinar will focus on how to promote, how to start on the rich advertisement. So it's nice to have everyone here.
Thank you, Caroline. And also we have Thomas. Thomas is the co-founder of Walk the Chat, and he will join during the Q&A session. Okay, so meanwhile, if you have any questions during the webinar, you will see this Q&A button in the banner. So you can leave your question there, and we will leave around like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on how the content goes, to answer your questions live. Hello, everyone. Okay, so let's get started. So the agenda of today is basically we will answer a few questions. The first is Red a good platform for you, and why you should choose Red to do advertising in China? And then after the overview, we will see more details about the advertising capacity of Red. For example, what are the placement, what are the formats, the cost, the strategy, and also the segmentation capacity of Red advertising. And after that, Caroline will share a few case studies of how we help foreign niche brands to enter and achieve a good result depending on their own objectives, either for branding, awareness, consideration, or e-commerce conversion, etc. And in the end, before we go into the Q&A session, I'll do a very quick summary of the content of the webinar and some key takeaways. Okay, so let's get started. So for everyone that joins the webinar today, I'm sure you heard about Red, the Chinese Instagram. So according to the most updated data, Red already have 200 million monthly active users. So compared to the other social media platforms such as WeChat, which has 1.2 billion monthly active user, or Douyin that has 600 million. So Red is still quite niche, but of course the growing trend is very positive, because compared to its size back in 2020, it already doubled the monthly active users. So right now, more than 80,000 brands are active on Red, expressing their attitude, telling their story, engaging with their potential buyers and followers. And among these 80,000, 27 of them are actually overseas brands, because Red users, they love to explore new trends, new brands, and explore the trendy lifestyle, either for domestic market or for international markets. So Red is actually the perfect platform to reach out to young, well-educated and loyal users, because on Red, 70% of the users are well-educated with bachelor degree or above. So this number is significantly higher than the average of the people using Chinese social media, and also higher than that of, for example, Douyin or Kuaishou. And half of the active users, they are living in metro cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen. So very focused on the first tier and second tier cities. And 60% of them are very young. So they are what we call between millennials and Gen Z, those people who are born after the 90s or since 2000s. So this is the typical buyer persona, user persona on Red. Also on Red, people are very sticky or loyal because on average, a user will spend nearly an hour using Red per day. So this number, of course, is not as high as like Douyin, you spend 2 hours on the app, but still it's a very healthy time to spend on Red. So also on average, each user opens the app 10 times per day to check for information, check for what other consumers are talking about, and to help with their purchasing decision. So each user will view more than 50 posts per day. So there are a lot of contents, interesting content on Red, and people do love consuming content there. Okay, so Red users are actively looking for information on the platform. So for me and my Chinese friend, we personally use Red as our Google. For example, before going to a restaurant, you go on Red to see how it looks like, what's the review, and before buying a piece of clothing or cosmetic or skincare, you go on Red to search for users' genuine feedback, and which will help with your sales decision. So according to the report by Nielsen Research, nearly 70% of the users open Red to look for trendy products and help with their purchasing decision. Over 80% are willing to buy the product after viewing the content. So this is what we call a successful seeding. So usually we start by working with influencer for product seeding or product gifting. And then when user browse the app, they will see very high quality content coming from these influencers. And then they will be like, okay, this product looks good. I'm going to look for more information about it. How much is it? Is it worth buying? So it's a very strong app in terms of research during the decision-making process. So also 40% of them actively search for a typical brand name or topic. So this means that due to the successful seeding, people want to look for more specific information. And search is actually a very important tool on Red because it's the, let's say, the Chinese Instagram and Chinese Google. So apart from that, Red users also have quite good purchasing power and are willing to spend. For example, the Red users in average will spend more than 5,000 RMB, which is similar to 620 USD per month. And then if we break it down into categories, we'll see that, of course, most of the people will buy frequently clothing and shoes, skincare and cosmetics. Like more than 80% of people will at least buy once these verticals per quarter. But in terms of the money they spend, as we can see, people spend the most on jewelry, then follows by handbags, clothing and shoes. So other categories such as cosmetic and perfume, people tend to pay less for it. And for skincare, it's depending on the component, depending on the function, etc. The price they're willing to pay is somewhere between the lower and the upper funnel. To summarize, Red users really have this good purchasing power located in the top tier Chinese cities, and they are willing to buy. Okay, so another reason why we should do Red marketing is that there's a very positive linear correlation between your search volume on Red and on Tmall. So as we can see, either you launch a branding campaign or always on ongoing campaign, there's a very positive linear correlation between the search volume of Red and the search volume of Tmall. So this means that as you invest in Red marketing and Red advertising, people will search more, not only on this app looking for feedback, but also search more on Tmall or your e-commerce channel who are willing to buy already. Okay, so that's a very brief introduction of overview. Now we will talk more about the details of advertising capacity of Red. So we can roughly divide the type of campaigns into branding campaign and performance campaign. So very similar to Red competitors or overseas platforms. So in terms of branding ad, the top view is the best one to capture users' attention. So top view means that as soon as you open the app, Red will show you this immersive full screen experience, telling your brand story, etc. So this is up to 5 seconds. And after a while, you can choose to skip the ads. And there's also special Red top view ads, means that after the full screen experience, you will also see a post from the official brand account. So it's just to remind the user twice that and this is something you should pay attention to and to look for more information. So as you can see here, these two types of ads, they are cost per time, and the minimum investment is quite high. You have to spend at least 75,000 USD. So it's definitely not an ongoing campaign, and you like to use it only for very important events, such as your new collection launch, your important IP collaboration, and the announcement of a brand ambassador, etc. And it usually will last just for some hours or a few days. So apart from the very expensive top view ads, there are cheaper options, such as the top banner ads. So the top banner ads will appear in the search environment. As we explained before, search is a very important function on Red when people look for information and decide whether to buy, what to buy, etc. So there are more than 90 million searches made on Red per day. And among these 90 million, 11 million are searching about the brand, the specific brands. So you can really feel that people already have a preference towards a specific brand, and they're just gathering enough information to decide. So the top banner ads, as you can see, will appear on top of all the search results, either if it's organic results or other search ads. It's a very elegant banner, also very good for your branding. And after you click, you can also see all the related posts or mentions about this hashtag. You can even bookmark or subscribe to this hashtag so that the system will know to push for more related information about this hashtag. So for top banner ad, you can define specific keywords related to your business account, to your category, to your product, etc. And the price will be cost per month with a minimum investment of 4,000 USD per month. So a bit more affordable than the previous one. But more importantly, there are other even more affordable and efficient ways to launch advertising campaigns on Red. This is called native ads. So native ads is called native because it looks just like another post coming from either the influencer or coming from the brand account. So there are two types of native ads. Either it can appear in your feed or in the search results. So in feed, so the Red algorithm works very similar to Douyin or TikTok. So the system will detect according to your engagement, your action shown on the social media. The system will define what's your probable interest and behavior and push related content or advertising to you. So it's usually very accurate. As you can see here, For in-feed ads, there are several objectives that you can choose from, either to get more impression, to get more awareness and consideration, or to get e-commerce sales, or to generate leads. So each one of the campaign objectives will have different landing page, etc. So we'll not enter too much technical details here, but if you're interested, you can ask later in the Q&A session or go to our website to submit an inquiry and we'll get back to you. So in-feed ad is ideal to push the high quality content created by the influencers. For example, if you work with product seeding or campaign with some influencer and it works really well, you feel that it could be a potential hero post, then you can invest in some in-feed ads to further push this post to a broader audience. So for native ads, the price will be bidding. If you're aiming for impression or engagement, you'll be setting price for either CPM or CPC. So this is in-feed ad. Then we also have search ads, which is quite similar to Google search ads. Basically, you set your own bidding per keywords. It could be keywords such as your brand, the competitor brand, your hero product, or the category, the function, anything related to your business, so that your post will stand out from the rest of the search results. So usually native ads works really well because, as you can see, it looks quite native, except that there is a small banner on the lower right corner, either saying sponsor or ads. It's ideal for ongoing or long-term campaigns with a more affordable investment because you'll be able to set your own bidding price, and over the time, you can keep optimizing the campaigns to keep decreasing the cost. So as we mentioned before, native ads are a more cost-efficient way to gain what you want, either impression, engagement, etc., because it will basically allow us more time for ongoing optimization. For example, as we can see in the chart here, when we launch the red ads, it will take a few days to gain the momentum, but after more or less 1 week, the engagement will go down because probably the frequency is high. A lot of people have seen it, so they stopped engaging already. But this is when we can start optimizing the ads. For example, when we launch the ads, we can start with some A/B testing to test which tone, which cover image works better. So during this phase, we can already have initial result of our A/B testing. And then we keep investing on the type of format or copy that works better. And then invest more on that to reach a better engagement. So later we'll talk more about specific results or optimization process during the case study section. But the idea here is that compared to branding campaigns that only last for a few days, which give us nearly no time to optimize the ads, native ads or ongoing campaigns, you can really leverage the backend of Red to optimize the campaign and make your Red advertising campaign more efficient. Okay. So on Red, there are 3 ways to target your audience very precisely. For example, we can start with what we call basic data. So similar to all the advertising platform, you can target by location, either by province, city, area, or town. You can target by gender and age from over 18 to 50 plus. You can also target through a network environment. Either the user is using 4G or Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi means that probably they will be more comfortable watching videos, for example. And you can also target by operating system, either iOS or Android. So typically, if you, it's a bit stereotype, but if you want to target users with a bit more purchasing power, usually will only target iPhone users. But it's not always necessary to do that. So apart from the basic data, we can also choose from the interest and behavior. So on the backend of Red, there are 18 categories for interest and behavior, covering all the trendy topics on the social media platform, such as fashion, accessory, home decoration, home renovation, consumer electronic, gaming, entertainment, etc. So as you probably know, the 18 categories compared to Douyin or WeChat is still small, but you can also target users by keywords. So keywords means a more segmented or more precise way of targeting. Although if you use keywords, the audience size will also be a bit smaller. For example, you can target vintage fashion instead of general fashion, tote bag instead of general fashion bag or accessories, also toys, gifts, etc. Okay, so a news about Red is they actually just launched their data management platform in May. So we used to say that the Red advertising capacity is kind of basic compared to their competitors. But we can see that Red is really making an effort to improve their tools and their technology. So as you can see here, this is a screenshot of the Red data management platform, which basically allows you to use more segmented and accurate industry targeting labels. This means that apart from the interest and behavior keywords tags that you choose in the previous page, Red as a platform also summarized some audience group that they know this audience is interested in, for example, fashion, for example, beauty. So it's a very efficient way to get started with your Red campaign. For example, you can target OOTD style preference. For example, if you want to target people who are looking for posh styles, elegant styles, or sporty styles, etc. Or people who are looking for very specific skincare product, for example, a product for oily skin, product for sensitive dry skin, etc., or functional preference. For example, people looking for whitening, anti-aging, etc. So it really gives a brand the good, some very good tool to be precisely targeting your audience here. So apart from the industry level provided by Red, we can also use user targeting labels. So this means that some characteristic of the users that could be very relevant for your brand. For example, the consuming capacity forecast, depending on the type of content they consume, they interact, or depending on the purchasing history on the platform. And also Red also knows the content preference of this user. For example, when they go on Red, do they like more the content to express a certain attitude? For example, a certain lifestyle, feminism, or anything related? Or are they looking for some specific ingredient component in a skincare product? Or if they're very price sensitive, if they're always looking for promotions, discount, etc. So Red also give very detailed information on that. You can choose from all of this depending on your campaign objectives. So also very importantly, Red also provides maternity stage, because like right now 70% of the active users on Red are female. So mom and kids is actually another very big and promising categories for the app. So the last but very important feature update is that now you can use your custom data to do advertising on Red. Because for new brands entering China, one of the very big challenge that brands may face is that we don't have first-party data regarding our Chinese consumers. So to start with, we have to start from zero, basically starting with some tests, and then based on the results of interaction, click, etc., to step by step narrow down the valuable audience for you. It used to be very complicated to use custom data on Red, but now the brands, you can upload your own custom data as seed audience, which later you can do either look alike, act alike, or you can either do retargeting campaigns looking for e-commerce conversion or trying to upsell or cross-sell. So more importantly is you start accumulating your own data on Red. So based on the user interaction, you can have an idea of, apart from my first party data, what other users are interested in our product. So it keeps building and enriching your own data. Okay. So just to summarize a bit more about branding promotion or ongoing promotion. So the main difference is that the branding promotion means that the objective is to reach out to massive audience in a short time. So here the key metrics is about impression, but it's a quite expensive campaign, and you may only consider using that during your very important sales events or new collection drops, etc. Well, ongoing promotion, as we saw before, the in-feed ads or search ads, that's ideal for long-term promotion because you can continuously test and improve your awareness, engagement, and sales based on your own objectives. So I believe for most of the brands or people who are attending our webinar today, ongoing promotion will be a lighter way to start. So here, depending on the type of campaign or objectives, the key metrics will be cost per engagement, CPE, cost per traffic, or cost per lead. And as for minimum investment, actually, we will recommend you to start with 2,000 USD per month, not too small, but not too big, because according to our experience, this is the amount that you will start to have a campaign that makes sense. Not too small because either you spend the budget within a few days and we don't have time to optimize the campaign for you, or the targeting audience is too small and is not good enough to generate a remarkable result. So yeah, this is the comparison between the branding promotion and ongoing promotion. So now we'll have Caroline online who will explain us in detail some of our successful case studies. Let's welcome Caroline.
Yeah. Okay. So the first case study I want to share to everyone is Bobbi Brown, which is a cosmetic brand who entered into Chinese market for a couple of years. So actually, cosmetic products are very popular on Red platform, and the competitiveness is rather high in this industry. So Bobbi Brown took more ambitious way to enter Red platform. The first thing that they are doing is cooperate with first tea celebrity Carol Wang as the brand ambassador, use top wheel ad to announce the news on social platform. After gaining 100 million impression, they continuously use top banner ad to convert organic search on Red. So you could see the picture in the right of this page. So this is the top banner ad. They can convert the user's organic sales for the hero products of their brand. So after the campaign, they have the result of the 400 increase of the rate search value. And meanwhile, this action encourage more users to share their experience of this product. So there's like the 400 increase of the rate posts as well. So right now they have like 100,000 related posts on Red. After the launching campaign, another remarkable result is the increase of the sales channel search value. So after the first launching campaign on Red, the search value increased 10 times than before.
So this is a typical case for the leverage branding ad to increase the market share on REIT platform. So we could go to another case study for a new Chinese brand who entered the REIT platform. So IS is a skincare brand. They are actually new to all of the Chinese audience. So the first step they are taking is to cooperate with KOLs and the KOC to increase the mentions on the REIT platform. And then they focus on the hero products of themselves and select a high-performed post to gain the massive impression. They have like the best post of their own have like 180 million impression, and more than 1,000 customers apply to test the products and share it online in a single campaign. The total increase of the sales channel search volume is like 173% just after the first campaign. So that's the typical way to leverage branding ad and increase the massive impression in a short term. So they successfully build up their brand image and focus on the cooperated with top tier KOLs or celebrities, and then use high performance content to increase impression by powerful ad tool. So then we move to the following case study to align the ongoing promotion strategy. So this is a brand in the fashion industry, have loyal customers on the REIT platform. So they cooperate with us with REIT ads and the REIT store in the first months of this year, and we focus more on the convert sales during the sales campaign, like the last 6/18 sales season, which is one of the two biggest e-commerce sales season in China. So during the campaign, what we are focused on is optimize the targeting audience by the newly data managed platform. And then we select high performed KOL campaign post to increase the impression. So after the campaign, we tracked the sales of the REIT store, that the traffic from the ad actually contributed 30% of the REIT store traffic. So we get the final result of 198% ROI of this sales campaign. That is higher than industry average, around 100%. So this isn't that actually have the REIT store, but the next case study for Huge, another fashion brand, actually have the sales channel outside of the REIT store, outside of the REIT platform. So the key strategy for Huge is slightly different. So we focus on the increase of the engagement and promote high engagement for 1 or 2 posts. This is a way to gain long-term effect for the brand. So during the first campaign, we have like 2 or 3 posts with high organic performance. And then we use the in-feed ad to continuously promote the ads into the in-feed. So we get, for Huge, they have like a perfectly stylish content. So it's a perfect match of with the REIT platform. We optimize the targeting audience and get the lowest cost per engagement. So overall, the cost per engagement is lower 46% than the industry average. And meanwhile, we also track the WeChat store visits. So it's the monthly WeChat store visits is 42 higher than non-ad period. Meanwhile, the WeChat store revenue is more than 100% higher than non-ad period. So there's like a connection between your REIT ads investment and also the traffic outside of the store, outside of the REIT platform. So for the next case study, we were talking about the menstrual Gabriel, which is a bag brand from the America. And for this case study, because they launched their global Tmall store during the last Double 11 campaign. Double 11 is another biggest sales season in China as well. So for this launching campaign, we are doing more ambitious way. So they cooperated like 10 to 20 KOLs, middle level KOLs during the campaign. And then we selected the KOLs post to push the in-feed ads. So we successfully pushed the brand into the top 3 brand performance list on Bread in the bags and shoes category. So that contributed to the first bunch of the visitors in the global Tmall store as well. So the overall CPM is a little bit higher than the last 2 case study, because during the Double 11 campaign, the traffic competitiveness will be increased a little bit. So those 3 case studies actually have different objectives or different sales channels, but overall, they follow the ongoing promotion strategy to keep increasing brand awareness on platform. And the positive effect from the read ad also leads to the increase of sales channels search or visits. So that's my part of the case study sharing. If you have more questions, we could move on to the question and answers part.
Okay, thank you, Caroline, for your sharing. Very valuable insights. So as you can see here, we also have a few more case studies, but we want to give more time for the Q&A. So we'll share the presentation and the recording later, and you can see this case study later. Okay. Okay, so before we move on to the Q&A session, I just want to quickly summarize some key takeaways during this webinar. First is Red is the best platform to target young, well-educated consumers living with first-tier or second-tier city with good consumption power. So if you are from fashion, beauty, jewelry, handbags, or other premium industry or mom and kids industry, Red or Xiaohongshu is indeed a platform that you want to look for. And then by investing on Red, either through influencer seeding or with advertising campaign, it brings a long-term positive effect on your sales, because as you do more marketing or advertising on Red, the numbers of your brand mentions, search, clicks, engagement will grow naturally. And this growth in search index has a strong linear correlation with your Tmall search. So it really can drive traffic from the social channel to your sales channel. And in the end, with the help of Red's newly launched data management platform, we can help you to improve the efficiency of your in-feed ads and search ads. So compared to branding campaigns, which is quite costly and only lasts for a few days, ongoing campaign is a more cost-efficient way. It also gives us more time and flexibility to keep optimizing the results. Okay, so that's the main content of the webinar of today. So right now we'll move on to the Q&A sessions. We'll look at the questions in Q&A and see. So I see question, what is in-feed ads? So as we talked before, in-feed ads is one kind of the native ads that basically appear in your feed when you open the app. So it's like it's a more natural way to gain more impression, engagement, etc. I don't know if Caroline or Thomas, if you want to pick some questions from the Q&A session.
So there is questions from Ala about about different size of influencers. it's a bit outside the scope of the webinar, but it's interesting questions, so I will still take them. Mid-sized influencers on Red, how many followers do they have? What is the approximate price for campaigns? So this, I would say mid-sized influencer maybe has between, I would say 100,000 to 500,000 followers on Red. And the pricing for an influencer who has 500,000 followers would be between $10,000 to $20,000, I would say, for a full video campaign. So it's not cheap. And another question asked by the same person is, what about micro influencers? So micro influencers could be very small, maybe a few hundreds or a few thousand followers, and the price could be also very low. Could be somewhere around $100 for what we call KOCs, like key opinion customers, who will have very, very, very small number of followers, but then it's more about generating mentions on the platform.
There's some questions about the data management platform. Right now, we could send the application to open the data management platform from Red. So the first step will be you create your own official account, and then we send the application to Red. And here's another question about the data management platform. What's the advantage of the data management platform? So this platform is actually the way to build up your own database. So you could select the database from the industry, or you upload your own database for the customer's info, like phone number or something else. So those database is confidential by yourself and owned by yourself. And then after that, we could use the data from the database to do the retargeting ads that will be more precise and have more have the more better performance of the ad.
Okay, just before I keep answering questions, a housekeeping point, please put the questions in the Q&A panel. It makes it easier for us to find the questions. If you put in the chat, then we cannot tell what is questions, what's not questions. So there is a specific Q&A section you can use to ask questions, and that's where we pick questions from, not from the chat. I take another question, which is, if we have a store on Tmall, can we track the data or traffic that comes from Red? My understanding is no, you can't. Caroline and Shalin can confirm. We can only get correlations here. So we can only look at basically what is the increase of sales on Tmall, which is caused by the campaign by looking at the correlation between the spend and the sales. But there is no tracking in the sense that there is no direct attribution. So this only here, we can only guess what is the impact. And this is a correlation that Shalin showed earlier in the webinar.
Yeah, I see another question. We are an international hotel brand and we do not have a Tmall store. Is there any solution for this? So the solutions that come to my mind right now, Caroline may add to later, is you can start with your Red official account to start building your presence and start engaging with your followers. And maybe another good way is to invite some Red influencers to test the hotel or have some afternoon tea or dinner at a hotel. And later, if some of the influencers work really well, you can then push it with Red advertising. So since here the goal will not to be e-commerce conversion, but will be similar to lead generation to generate interest and leads who will be looking for hotel solutions.
Yeah, I think for the brands that don't have the online sales, the typical online sales channel like Tmall or other channel, they could use the first step, they could cooperate with KOLs, and then we could promote continuously promote the KOL's post and continuously get an impression and engagement for your relevant content.
Another question is, how do you add the shop to your account? So basically, to add the shop, you need to have first an official account on Red, and then there's a specific application you have to go through Red, which has some requirements. And I believe you need to have a Chinese trademark in order to be able to open a store on Red. So for this, if you have specific questions, you can reach out to our team and we can guide you through this process.
Okay, I see another question. What might be the better strategy for new brands to develop sales on Red, and how much minimum budget request per month? So this really depends on the kind of product you want to sell and your price range. But as we talked before, we will first recommend you start working with influencers, because that's usually a more cost efficient way. And then, depending on the type, depending on the number of products you are comfortable doing gifting, it could range from 20 to 100 products per month. And then you consider how much is that cost for you internally. And the minimum budget per month would be, for advertising, would be 2,000 USD to start to have a result that makes sense.
So I see a question like, for a fashion niche brand entering the Chinese market, how much do you advise to invest in ads? So I would say it depends how much visibility you have already and what you're doing on the side. Usually what we do in terms of launching new brands is using ads along other things. So let's say the typical strategy if you're launching is you would be creating content on Red, doing community management on Red, creating sales channels on maybe Red, WeChat, Tmall if necessary, gifting your products, so maybe 20 to 100 products per month, and then on top of that, having ads budget. And if you're doing all these things, I would say you can start around $2,000 per month of advertising to give you initial momentum if you're starting like little by little. And so your total envelope to launch on the market might be somewhere around $6,000 per month in total. You would have $4,000 to basically operate all of the content, community management, customer service, stores, etc., and $2,000 on ads, US dollars, yeah. All when I say dollars, usually I refer to US dollars.
Okay, so I see another question. The budget of $2K per month is media spent only, and we'll charge like a management fee to for the strategy and optimization. But if you spend more, for example, more than, I believe it's more than 10K per month, we do have a discount in our management fee.
Mm-hmm. But here again, so to answer the question, so is 2K per month only media spend? It depends. There will be other activities you need to do around Red ads. So if you're looking at your entire budget, as I said, you have to look more on 6,000 if you want to have something which is consistent for you as a brand. Except, of course, if you have in-house teams which are managing content, or you're working with another agency which is running content for you, that's completely okay. But as you're running ads, you will need something on top of that. So you will need customer service, you will need content creation, you will need some listing on Chinese marketplaces, and you will need some kind of influencer strategy, which could be running campaigns or which could be gifting. And ads is gonna come and elevate all of that. So because we gave this example, these case studies, right? But of course, the case studies we showed are of brands which have stores on Red, which have stores on WeChat, and there's also a cost of operating that. So when we say 2,000 on ads, in practice, you have to think 6K, it's 2K ads, 4,000 management.
Yeah, exactly. So I see another question. Do Red offer any other kind of advertisement that could be landing on Tmall store? So so the short answer is landing on external stores is not a landing page that Red will recommend, because with Red Store they are pushing this Red Store solution. So so short answer is not that directly, but we also see some examples of landing on WeChat mini program. But this is just for very few brands that they probably invested a huge money to do that. So for your sales channel, especially on Tmall, that will high chance depend on your people will do that manually. So as you do marketing efforts on Red, people will naturally search more on Tmall. I don't know if Caroline or Thomas want to comment more about this.
Yeah, and this also gives me a chance to. Sorry, you go ahead, Karen. I go later.
Yeah. Yes, for this directly landing into Tmall store, the officially saying from Red is no. But actually, there's like a few cases could do that, but like with 100 million RMB. 100 million RMB investment on Red platform. So except the special cases, we recommended directly put your store name on your official account, and the customers or users on Red platform, they like 80% of them are willing to search the name on the Tmall store or Jingdong store, like the biggest sales channel in China. So if you have Tmall store already, there's a way to running ads, and then the customer will organic search your brand name in the biggest sales channel.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, to piggyback on this question of like different channels for conversion, there is another question about what's the average price of products sold on Red. And my understanding, Caroline, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that for Red platform itself, the products are quite affordable actually. Usually it would be at most like a few $100, maybe even lower than that. But Red can really help elevate products which are sold on other platforms. So for instance, we mentioned Rouge, which typically has like $500, $600 average order, and some other brands which have even like thousands of dollars of average order. But usually in that case, Red ads would be more like a branding effect, drive traffic to WeChat or Tmall, and people for more expensive items would most likely purchase on other platforms than Red. And for affordable products, we mentioned This Is Never That, for instance, which is one of our clients. This is streetwear fashion. It's a bit more affordable. So in this case, people buy directly on the platform. Is that correct, Caroline, more or less?
Yeah. For the cost per order, actually the range is much more than how to say, like 4 to 100 RMB to 2,000 RMB. Those kind of the products are actually be willing to be sold on the platform. So right now, the Red platform is I think the most recommended platform for fashion brands or the beauty brands to join, because the massive of the audience is actually 70% of the women. So they are willing to buy the products and willing to listen to the recommendations from the others.
And maybe I take a very last question before we wrap up, except if Shane, Caroline, you have more other questions that you want to take. It's actually from the chat, but because it's important, I'll still take it. Can ads be run using both China and foreign Red accounts? So of course you can do that with foreign accounts, and this is basically what we do is we help brands run advertising and operations from overseas. So you can have your account created with your foreign entity. You can even synchronize it with your Shopify store if you have one. You can synchronize a Red store with a Shopify store to sell. So this will make it very easy for a brand outside China to run ads. You don't have to create a Chinese company, a Chinese bank account, and you don't even need to set out a separate inventory. If you have Shopify, we can synchronize all of that.
I'm just going to pick the very last question from my side because it's interesting. You mentioned that DMP, you are able to build your own database. What kind of information or data are they requesting to upload? So this data could either be your Chinese consumers user ID or encrypted phone number, IDFA, some for iPhone, or the other one for Android. So this so quite similar to either WeChat or Douyin, the type of data that they ask for.
Yeah, okay, I'll take a very last question actually. So would you suggest putting all cash out of Tmall and putting it on Red and Douyin? So definitely not. Usually when we offer proposals for our clients on Tmall, usually around 50% of the budget is still on in-house Tmall platform under the form of advertising or live streaming. There might be like 30% on Red, 20% on Douyin, and 10% on WeChat. WeChat being a bit less of a hot platform these days. So we're not suggesting to pull everything out of Tmall, but around 50% of your marketing budget being on social, 50% in-app marketing is reasonable. And this will enable you to take a lot of traffic from within the platform, but also to elevate the brand by telling a bit more of a story, which you can do using social media, which you can't really do using Tmall. So you can count around 50-50 between social and Tmall, and your social split might be 50% Red and 50% other platform, Douyin, Red, Bilibili, etc. Caroline, Shane, we are already beyond the time, so do you have any final questions you want to take before we wrap up? No, we good?
I already took my last one.
Caroline, anything else you want to answer, or can we wrap up?
Yeah, I think it's okay for me right now.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Shalene, Caroline, for this great presentation. Thanks everyone especially the one who's sticked all the way to the end to listen to the answer to the last question, and see you next time for the next webinar. We send everything, we send the presentation to the attendees, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, and sorry, due to the time, we cannot answer all your questions in the Q&A session, but you can reach out to us on our website, walkthechat.com, by submitting a form, and your question we'll get back to you there.
Exactly. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.